Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also, but you can't get any of the physicists to show up for a debate to actually answer, be interrogated on the real physics, how much evidence they really have proving any of the crap they spew as their mumbo jumbo. So, Sabine Hossenfelder is making herself out to be some dissident. And, she's just a hypocrite. She fed at the trough. She did a bunch of fake physics and science because it got her a paycheck. Then she found that a little frustrating, let's just say, but she could figure out that she could make a living doing this YouTube crap. And so, but what if she couldn't? I think she'd still be at the trough. No doubt about it. Whoring for a job to do bullshit physics. And so anyway, her argument is that somehow, this new modern physics, this bullshit they're building, doesn't have the same integrity somehow as the Hadron Collider or all the other previous big expensive accelerators that produced absolutely nothing. I mean, they really didn't. I mean, the Higgs boson didn't make more energy somewhere. The Heriton, the Frediton, the Georgiton, all the other bullshit particles never produced any technology, never produced any advancement. So it's all a big fraud, all of it. I mean, all of physics is just bullshit, okay? And most of it is for, yes, okay, if you spend a few, $5 or $6 billion, you might be able to create a listening device that might have some use. So, that's what LIGO is. The only reason why it was financed is because it might have a military application. All of this stupid fusion crap, probably most of that is only being financed because the military sees some hope of, creating a death ray. It's all garbage, junk, horrible physics. And it goes all the way back to, the death of Isaac Newton. I mean, you could argue one of the last real scientists in the sense of a scientist who said, yeah, you know what, we shouldn't be telling anybody what something is until we know what it is. So I'm not going to tell you what gravity is because I don't know what it is. So that was the last honest physicist. And ever since then, they just make up some silly explanation and proclaim it as a truth, and they don't bother testing anything. And then even Einstein error, right? The whole big fake Eddington experiment, okay? A 1919 experiment. The guy says in his own journal, I got 10% of the data quality I was hoping for. The weather was a disaster, and, admits that he wouldn't stake his life on the results. And what did they do? 3 months later, they say, perfect success, Einstein proven right. Never repeated on Earth beyond the margin of error, and certainly they never even tried it. We're supposed to believe in the 50 years, 60 years we've been in space, they've never even tried the experiment. 400 times better seeing, and they've never even tried it. This is her physics. I mean, this is stuff that they haven't ever verified, and they just believe. And they just believe based on faith. And so here she is arguing about this crap, the wasted money. It's all been wasted. What they should do with these billions of dollars, right? We're going to spend billions of dollars on some stupid neutrino experiment. There's no evidence there are fucking neutrinos. There's no evidence there is antimatter. It's all bullshit theory. Okay, it isn't fact. And they got some other accelerator in Texas or some other place you're going to spend a couple billion. If they took that money and gave it away as prize money, in $10 million packets, we could have lots of things invented. Clean coal. We could have some, let a whole bunch of people be encouraged to figure out a theoretical way of creating a mechanism that does humanity some damn good. And just imagine, thousands of prizes we could be giving away, gigantic money prizes for actually useful invention. And instead they wasted on this junk science that doesn't produce anything of value ever. And so she's ragging, and it's their standard model that's broken. The broken didn't happen 3 days ago. It didn't happen 10 years ago. It's been broken for a long effing time where you haven't depended on real experimental evidence. You haven't proven anything you say. You haven't even done, wavy bullshit, this fucking nonsense that photons are waving their way through space. You haven't even come close to showing me anything that looks like that. And then the whole kinetic energy thing is so tied to all this accelerator crap, in the sense that they've given these particles almost magical amounts of energy because of this silly mv squared nonsense that isn't true. So just imagine how little energy they're going to actually get out of these experiments when they actually have to realize that, oh, you mean the proton can't knock down the Empire State Building? It doesn't have enough energy to do that. All it's got is momentum. Oh, it's 1,000,000 times less energy than we thought. But that's going to be the reality. So it's all bullshit, and she's such a hypocrite. She's such a money whore. She's still got these tacky commercials, in-bed commercials in her videos. And, you can just go through her comments, and she's getting $250 from this schmuck and $100 from some other schmuck. And, she's making plenty of money. She could, and then she puts, private videos up, where you have to pay to view them. And then this whole bullshit with Brilliant, she's getting paid by them. I mean, this isn't tainted science. I mean, she thinks she's pure in this subject somewhere when she's just feeding off the trough, doing what she needs to do or say what she needs to say to make more money. So this is just clickbait bullshit. So in this video, she's saying, the video I will get to. I'll post it up here. It should pop, I would think. Let's see. No, it didn't. Alright, so I have to switch from here to there. And that should work. Come on, get out of the way. Come on. I really have to buy a better mouse someday. Anyway, so yeah, just take a quick pause. Alright, continuing. Little interruption, whatnot. Anyway, so she, in this video, she's reading some letter she received 5 years ago that she didn't bother to read 5 years ago for whatever reason. So she's just implying, okay, it's somebody. So now everybody's just going to try to guess who wrote the letter, basically saying, oh, come on, get off our back. We are all making a living and we all have kids to support. And so what? It's all bullshit. It's fun being a scientist. We don't have to really be productive, do we? So it does make it look pretty bad. Whoever wrote that, it makes them look pretty bad. Let's just graft off the public dole and doing a bunch of unproductive nonsense physics that won't produce anything. So that looks bad. So that should be the argument from the very beginning, is there should be a lot more integrity in what's called physics. And so, that she's right for saying that, but she's not going near far enough, because, again, the argument would be is there's a whole bunch of statements made by physicists that just don't have any credibility at all. They got no evidence really backing it up. And they just claim they have all this evidence. We've measured it to 74 decimal places. Measured what to 74 decimal places? You certainly didn't measure what happens, whether a lever conserves momentum to 24 decimal places. You certainly haven't figured out that you can't collect any of the kinetic energy in a ballistic pendulum to 24 decimal places. That completely fails. You haven't shown me it taking 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast to 24 decimal places. And again, things like the Eddington experiment, where you're just saying, come on. You never even tried it from space, 400 times better seeing, and you're telling me that no physicist thought it was a good idea to try it from space when it takes 5 minutes, that's all, 5 minutes, and a mediocre camera. A telescope would be great, but, theoretically, with 400 times better seeing, you don't even need it. And they have never even tried it. Never even just said, let's give it a shot. Nothing. In all this time. And this is a foundational thing, this idea that gravity bends light twice as much as any other substance in the universe. The fastest thing in the universe is somehow bent twice as much. It's a pretty bold statement. Now, I'd say it's a bold statement to say it's bent at all, because forces aren't bent by forces. So it's a unique case. There's no other case where anything's ever bent, where a force is bent by a force. So anyway, but it's not. So they never did real physics. They haven't done real physics since she's been alive and a physicist. They haven't done any real physics. So all of this ranting is just hypocrisy. She's completely immersed in bullshit. She thinks dark matter's a thing. It's even worth. She'll mock many worlds as just a bullshit made up pile of nothing. When what was dark matter except bullshit made up nothing? You just said, well, here's a problem. Let's solve it with perfect matter that doesn't have any mass, but it creates gravity. I mean, it's ridiculous. It doesn't have any mass, but it produces gravity. Yay. It does everything we need it to do and nothing we don't need it to do. And just happens to be there for us just to save the day. This magic crap shows up. I mean, it's just such nonsense. So anyway, that's all I got to, she's a long way from being a defender of reason and logic and truth. Yeah, she's really not doing the truth, justice, and whatever the Superman statement is for all kind of thing. She's not going to save the day.
And whose taxes pay?
Okay, let's more volume and less volume over here. Oh, shit. I really do have to. Yeah, I got to figure out a better mousing condition. This mouse is a piece of shit. All right, anyway. Yeah, so now I can hit the play button.
For academic jobs. It makes me sick. And it makes me...
So again, it makes her sick, except when she was making a living doing it. And again, when she's a talking head on one of these shows, she's just playing along with all this wooey physics that just really doesn't have any... They call it foundational. It doesn't have anything to do with anything called a foundation. Their foundation is this moronic standard model full of this incomprehensible half a spin and half a charge and quarter charges and all kinds of antimatter. Come on. Antimatter. You really believe that's possible?
Glad that I no longer have anything to do with this so-called research area. That's rotten.
Right, because you have making a big fat living being one of these talking heads on YouTube. So yeah, it's really easy to have nothing to do with it because you don't have to get paid to do real physics. You could just sit here on the internet and talk shit. Oh, I'll read an article and talk about all the flaws I can find in it. I mean, anybody can do that. I mean, anybody can point out how something that's not working, right, is not working. It hasn't produced any, it hasn't done it. Yeah. And it's all hype, that everything that's on the stock market is hyped. Oh, what a surprise. Oh, you mean people hype shit to get more funding? Oh, gee, I never heard of that.
To the core. If you are one of the many physicists who know full well what nonsense research I'm talking about, but...
So yeah, what nonsense? So she won't get really specific. She just gives us this vague idea. So she doesn't think much of what Fermilab's doing, and she doesn't think much of whatever the new accelerator enhancements they're going to pay for and wherever the fuck it is. She doesn't think much of that. So, but that's it. You just get little pieces of some vague notion that this is the kind of funding that she somehow thinks is illegitimate.
You still keep your mouth shut. If you're one of those who laugh about me because no one believes what I'm saying.
So again, there's this, what a bunch of gaslighting kind of bullshit. Like, oh, I'm so oppressed and I'm so silenced. And you have a big loud voice, okay? You get 1 million views on your videos. You get to say your shit and lots of people get to listen. So again, a whine about nothing. You're not the one closed out. You're not the one they won't even listen to because you won't play along. All right, there's a ton of dissidents that have plenty good arguments. Yeah, there's a ton of flat earthers and there's a ton of wackos. But the fact is all of you people are inaccessible. Can't pay you. Okay, I can offer you money to answer some questions. You won't do it. You won't publicly be interrogated on the nonsense you believe, on the religion you're promoting.
If you're one of those who spread lies about me, like...
Oh dear, somebody lied about you? Oh, on the internet? Oh. So why don't you name names again? So why in this case isn't she naming names? So she's claiming somebody lied about her, okay, and made up a fake story, fake news about some fake event, and yet she won't even tell us that guy's name? Obviously, he made this lie in public somewhere. If you found out about it, right? It's a real lie somewhere published, isn't it? Isn't it a published lie? Or you're saying it's not even a published lie? What's your argument? So again, more just vague. Oh, I'm being so oppressed. Hilarious.
Like that story that I was invited to give a talk at CERN but was afraid to go. Did you make that up?
So who you talking to? Why don't you tell us his name, right? If he made some public accusation that you think is completely fabricated, then name the name for frick's sake. Why play this game that we're all supposed to play, guessing game? Oh, is it Dr. Lincoln? Who slandered poor Sabine? Yeah, who did that?
I hope it was amusing. But Jesus, use your fucking brain!
Oh, yeah, so now she's getting dramatic. Yeah, hilarious. I mean, it really is hilarious. And she'll get away with that, right? She can get angry and pissed off, but nobody else can. Right? It's only when you are in a position that is, you've gained your popularity, then you have all this freedom. And, when you don't have any freedom. And she's whining. You're complaining. Hilarious. She's aggrieved. Ugh, pathetic.
Your problem isn't that I'm making noise. Your problem is that you're lying to the people who pay you.
Right, and you did it. And, and the fact is you're doing it right now. I mean, you're selling this garbage junk science. You're doing brilliant videos, proselytizing crap you don't have any evidence of. You don't have any evidence that there's any kind of such thing as a kinetic energy. There's no physical evidence of this stuff. You've never shown me the speeding proton knocking down the Empire State Building.
Your problem is that you're cowards without...
There you go. That's what you are, okay? You're also inaccessible coward, all right? For years, I've been trying to get to you. I offer you thousands of dollars to deal with the subject, and you won't, because all you're going to argue is your abstract nonsense where nobody can be accountable. No one can make you accountable for this wooey black matter crap. There's this secret matter in the universe. Well, go ahead, try to prove it doesn't exist. Yeah, that's right. It's like proving God doesn't exist. Well, that's not my obligation. Your obligation is to prove it's something I should even talk about. And you don't have any evidence. Again, antimatter, where do you have a bottle of this crap?
A shred of scientific integrity. Your problem is that every bubble eventually bursts.
Oh, yeah, well, that's all talk too, right? I mean, I would have thought the stock market should have burst 15, 20 years ago. So some bubbles get really bubbly for an awful long time before, the shit hits the fan. So, yes, this bubble too will pass if we don't stay, if we stay in idiocracy, well, then you can keep talking this wooey shit and the morons will keep thinking, oh, they invented a new flying vehicle, and there's a new vehicle, and there's a new vehicle project, and they're going to spend billions of dollars to find the oracle of woo. And they'll keep buying that somehow it's productive, even though it doesn't even bake a loaf of bread.
By the way, the reason I now call it nonsense research and no longer bullshit research is that YouTube flags the latter as profanity, and we don't want to...
Oh, gee, that's another egregious thing, isn't it? Well, frankly. Yeah, it is. So what? So in what way does it, it's just basically saying you can't make a living being a swearer. But you can make a living if you can make your videos and swear if you don't have commercials on them, and you're just not willing to give up the commercial bucks, right? So who really complained about the swearing? Okay, is your paycheck, the people you're taking money, proselytizing, selling yourself to? That's why, So again, just more bullshit, complaining about your censorship when you're taking their money.
Be profane on this channel. That would be absolutely terrible. All right, let me know what you think.
Yeah, obviously YouTube didn't bleep her, but whatever. So again, another fake egregiousment. Oh, okay, I'm not allowed to offend the advertisers to make my living on advertising. what a surprise. The advertisers wouldn't appreciate having their product promoted on a channel that talks shitty. Oh, what a surprise. So you can have your freedom back if you just sit there and say, okay, I'm not going to take their money, but you're not willing to say that.
About all this in the comments. There are many
and
reasons.
Here she goes, right into selling Brilliant again, or some other kind. No, this is the NordVPN, the big fake phony, idea that somehow you got to protect yourself from the internet when it's really VPNs are about troll empowerment. That's what gives the trolls the power, is the VPNs. So again, more bullshit. Logic of being applied. She's selling a troll product, not a defensive product, an offensive product. And pretending, she's doing something good for humanity. When no, what she should be arguing is that the internet be accountable. I mean, people can't hide by, having an IP address float out of a cloud somewhere. I mean, it's just such bullshit. I can be unaccountable. I mean, that's what she's advocating. That's what she's selling as a product, is lack of accountability for your behavior. And then she just displayed it right here, though, making this fake reference to some fake comment made to her, and she doesn't have the integrity to say, hey, Joe, why did you say that about me? Because that's a lie. Do you have any, Joe, do you want to answer and explain how you invented that lie? No, she didn't do that. No. So anyway, all right, so not much of a video, frankly. She doesn't talk about anything that has anything to do with real physics. It's all abstract horseshit, and they'll talk about, even this fusion stuff is such a joke because they're never fusing hydrogen into helium. They're fusing big molecules, okay, of deuterium and tritium, stuff that has a neutron in it or some other element, and they're basically just smashing that shit, and they end up with a byproduct, okay, of this one little atom that pops out, but they broke much heavier atoms. The total atom they put into the smashing is less, it's more than the atom they pulled out, so they didn't really fuse anything. Technically, they smashed something. So it's really fission. It's just a different version of fission. All right. So that's enough. Okay. It's all such bullshit. Ugh. The planet just covered in despicable, hypocritical humans. So anyway, till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot.